You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Well, I'm heading north. I'm driving to Wyoming as we speak. Just getting ready. Just getting the lay of the land. Trying to figure it out.
Our attention is solely on the Wyoming Cowboys football team. Football
yes. And
game.
I guess the track team. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, they are. They do have some competition left this summer. But baseball's done. Sadly.
Baseball is done. It is over.
We'll talk about how that season came to a close and look just high level look at the stats, how the season finished. Give you a little context of what the other seasons, most recent seasons look like, and if you think this year was as good or maybe as bad as you maybe think. We'll have some context for you. In other silly news, we advanced into another round of the Pod Poll logo tournament. We took down Guys and Ties, and now we are up against the Go Big Red podcast, a Nebraska Cornhuskers production. And we need your help. If you're listening to this and it's a Wednesday, get on Twitter. Go to the 23 Personnel Twitter account. You should be following us, but if you're not, at 23 Personnel, and then find where we quote tweeted the bracket and the poll, and vote for us. We need your support. We are getting demolished by words inside of a circle, man.
Yeah, not to belittle or maybe not belittle, but not to berate the other logo, but yeah, the logo we have is just miles better.
Yeah,
if you're watching on our screen, you can see it right there.
Obviously, a hat tip to Brian Don Carlos, the designer extraordinaire who developed our logo as well as several other ones that you know and love within the Staking the Plains content network. You know where to find those guys. StakingThePlains.com, Gambling Gauchos, Red Raider Dugout, Dinger Derby, and Seeing Scarlet. If you're following us on Twitter, it's at 23 Personnel. You can follow me, Spencer, at Punts Suck, Michael, at Michael_LBK. Sorry about my chair. This thing creaks. It's getting worse. It creaks louder and louder every day. And it's not an indication of the I can't think of a word. What I was going to say. Humidity? It's not a reflection of me. No, it's not a reflection of me. I'm actually losing weight.
There you go.
But it's getting worse. The chair. So I don't know. Don't want to tell you about it. Anyways, I'm making the chair's job easier. Chair's job easier, and it's just groaning louder and louder. It's time for a new one.
It's just being ornery.
Yeah, so we'll do baseball. There's nothing else we want to talk about. Basketball, football. We'll get to what do we learn, and get you into the 23 Personnel off season, because that's where we're headed. You know and love it. The off season here is wonderful. Time to spend with family and friends, and out on the patio, in the road with loved ones on a trip. Yeah. Anyways, let's dive into some baseball, Michael.
Yes, for one last time.
Left field, well struck. Desloney picks it up on a bounce. He's racing for second. Throw out in second.
Young lifts it to right field, looking for a second home run, and he's got it into his own bullpen.
Reps and some time because all the tools are there.
Wow, this one launched deep left off the bat of Roy.
There he goes. And the pitch is driven high and deep to right. Kjerstad to the wall. Off the top of the fence. Here comes the big fella. Cameron Ward's going to motor home from first. Throw to third is late. And the Red Raiders have reclaimed the lead. Popped up. Trevor Boone. Back. It's more than a pop-up. It's a big fly. Tuck takes the lead. Love it and leave it. Texas Tech can start packing for Omaha.
Yeah, unfortunately, Texas Tech is not packing for Omaha in 2023. We're sitting at home. We just finished up a regional appearance in Gainesville versus Florida, UConn, and Florida A&M. Essentially, you played a 3-game series, a super regional, basically, with Florida. You played them Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, losing the last 2 to be eliminated. But game 1, you took down the UConn Huskies 3-2. You took the lead early. You got a run in the first, tacked on 2 more in the 5th. UConn did not score to the bottom of the 7th, and that was it. Mason Molina got the start. He was fantastic. I don't want to.
Yeah.
All the strategery that we had talked about last week about possibly switching up the pitching rotation. One, Molina was fantastic on Friday. And then Kyle Robinson, who started game 2 versus Florida, was also similarly fantastic. Had that performance not gone well, you could have been like, yep, see, we should have gone with Molina second, but Robinson did fantastic on Saturday. We'll stick with Molina first, though. He went 6 innings, 1 hit. Both of the runs that UConn scored were attributed to Molina, and they were both earned. 2 walks to 10 strikeouts on 91 pitches. Brandon Beckel comes in, goes 2 more innings, 2 hits, 1 strikeout. Josh Sanders gets the 9th and the save. 11 pitches for the inning of work he put in with 1 strikeout. Against UConn, you went after their best starter, which we point out quickly. You chased him in the 5th. 4 1/3 for him, 7 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Offensively, Nolan Hester was not your guy. to kind of uncharacteristic for him. He went 0 for 4, but Gage Harrelson 2 for 5, Kevin Bazell 2 for 5, Austin Green 1 for 4, Gavin Cash 0 for 5. You were able to get things done around some of the key guys not performing at the plate. You certainly needed that offense the rest of the weekend. You scored 3 runs on Friday, 5 on Saturday, and then just 1 more the rest of the way out. Game 2, the Saturday game, the first matchup you had with Florida was a fun one. I'll say that. Florida took the lead. They were actually the visiting team with how the schedule broke down. They were the visitors, so they took the lead top of the 4th with a run. You responded bottom of the 4th with 2 of your own, and you added 1 more in the 5th to be up 3-1. Florida ties it the top of the 6th, 3-3, and then bottom of the 8th, you put up 2 of your own. And then you handed Slater, their pitcher for Florida, his only loss of the season. He is 9-1.
Crazy. And Gavin Cash, big bounce back day for the young man.
Yeah, Cash went 3 for 4 with 3 RBI. Those 3 RBI came off of 2 separate home runs. It's a solo shot and then a 2-run shot. Austin Green soloed. No, sorry. He led off the scoring. The first scoring for Texas Tech came from an Austin Green home run, 2-run shot. On the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10th pitch of his at bat. He was really working. And I think that was the thing that they we saw that was successful when Texas Tech was able to get into long at bats, to get their pitchers to throw a lot of pitches. You were finding success. Cash comes up, first pitch swinging, and the 5th hits a home run. It's a solo shot. Like it's not really that big of a surprise, but Caglianone came up in the top of the 6th, ties it with a home run. I had not really seen him play before this. His swing looked effortless, man. It never looked like, and the home runs he hit, they weren't like towering shots either. They were just like, it didn't look like he had great contact on the pitch. Like he was out of position. He's kind of reaching for it, but still with his strength was able to put the ball over the wall. Cash, though, did respond. These guys were fighting for the home run crown, if you will, throughout the season. Caglianone, I think at the end of the weekend, had 31, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Cash did, like I said, respond in the bottom of the 8th, hit a shot over the wall in the center field, scoring Vuletic, so 2-run shot there. Florida was able to get one back in the 9th, but you were able to finish that out. Beckel pitched again on Saturday. He didn't go very long. Well, I'd say that he went 2 innings on Friday, then came back on Saturday and gave you 2/3 of it. So he finished out the 9th. But Kyle Robinson, your starter, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs. Both of them were earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He looked really, really good. Ryan Free came in relief after him. 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts. Ethan Coombs came in for his inning of work. He was the pitcher of record when he took the lead, so he gets credit for the win. No hits, no runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Derek Bridges comes in and records an out. Throws like a season high pitches with 12 in his 1 out. The 1 out that he recorded. He did face two batters, but gave up a hit and a run. Beckel comes in to close it out, a hit, no runs, to get the final 2 outs. So for his 7th save of the season. Sproat was the Florida starter, maybe their best guy. 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs. All 3 of those earned 2 walks to 7 strikeouts. Offensively, like I said, you're a little bit better. Nolan Hester went 1 for 3 with a walk. Gage went 0 for 3. Bazell went 1 for 3. Hudson did not have a great weekend. Hudson White 0 for 4. Austin Green was 1 for 4. Vuletic 1 for 4. Gavin Cash took up all the hits, apparently 3 for 4. Interestingly, I don't know. I didn't hear anything confirmed, but Will Burns got the start at shortstop every game this weekend. You did not see Tracer Lopez. We'd heard that it was possible, just lingering health issues. Wasn't able to go, but Burns did fill in there for him. So Sunday, you get around. You are awaiting the winner of Florida UConn. You are 1 win away from advancing to a super as a 3 seed on the road in the number 2 national seeds home park. Florida does take care of UConn and come back to play a doubleheader on Sunday to face you. You feel pretty good about your spot, right? You're facing Florida's 4th starter. We talked about them having 3 legit guys, and they threw their 3 guys, and you saw one of them, and you beat them. So you felt pretty good about it. Zane Petty is your starter on Sunday. And like, it sucks that the performance you got from Zane Petty, maybe his best of the year, you lose the game. And you lose it because the offense was just, well, you had 7 hits, but you were only able to get 1 run through across. Petty goes 5 full innings, gives up only 3 hits, 1 run, it was earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. And that 1 run, Caglianone hit a RBI single and scored a guy in the 6th. Like, that's what it was. This game, Zane, like you were rolling a no hitter. The perfect game had been wiped out. You had a hit by pitch and a walk earlier. But like, so for Florida in the first, ground out, line out, strikeout. In the second, pop up, walk, fly out. In the third, fly out, hit by pitch, line out. In the fourth, line out, ground out, pop up. In the fifth, there was the first hit was in the fifth. Heyman hits a single, Shellnut flies out, and then Halter hits into a double play. And then in the sixth, the wheels fall off, man. You give up a single, then a double. Jace Lopez comes in. You get a fielder's choice, but then the batter advances to second. This was the play where you recorded 2 outs at home. So they had runners on second and third. He hits a ground ball to Bazell. Bazell goes home with it. They get the runner from third out. Then they throw the ball to the shortstop who's covering second. And they get the batter, so Langford, they get him in a rundown basically between first and second. But as they're doing that, the runner that was originally on second base has rounded third and is heading home. Cash throws it home, and you get the second out at home. So you get 2 outs on the play. And you're feeling pretty good. Like you kept them from scoring. They had guys, second and third, nobody out. And then you get 2 outs at home, and they have a runner at second. And then it's Caglianone singles, and the guy from second scores. And then Caglianone advances to second, a wild pitch. Then you get an infield single and then a throwing error. Caglianone scores. You get a walk. You load the bases, and you single from the right fielder, Shellnut, who scores 2. And that ends Lopez's day. Lysak comes in, walks his first batter, and then gets the pop-up. So over that course of the inning, they score 4 runs on 5 hits and leave the bases loaded. But you weren't able to do anything at the plate this game. You end up losing this game 7-1. Your pitching at the time that happened, when you went down, you threw in Lysak, who went 2 1/3, and then Damian Bravo. I know some guys were saying that they were pitching to lose that game. But when you're down as much as you were, I mean, because when Bravo comes in, and he gets an inning, but he gives a one hit, but three runs on 4 walks. It's almost the exact same line he gave up when he was in the 9th inning at A&M. I don't know. You want to save your best arms, right? Like you want to have your shot when the game's close, and it was not close on
Yeah,
Sunday.
He hadn't pitched in a month, I think. Pretty much when he came in, so it went about as well as everyone thought that it would. But I'm with you. It's at that point, I think you're just still playing baseball. You never know. If Bravo had come out and done something brilliant, there's no telling. But it just doesn't help that you have 7 hits on the day. Florida just apparently grows pitchers on trees, on the palm trees down there. I don't know what they do. They just they had 2 pitchers that day. I think you may have already talked about it, but Fisher went 7 innings, and Neely went 2. This is their 4th game in 3 days, and they just used 2 pitchers.
And they used 2 pitchers in the first game on that day too. On Sunday, they used 4 total pitchers in 2 games.
So not only are they using less pitchers per game, they're better. And it's just kind of like, well, then what? What's Tech's chances here? It kind of makes sense that this might be the number 2 team in the country. But this offense, to see it just get shut out basically on Sunday and Monday, spoiler alert, it was just brutal. That part was probably the worst part to watch. The pitching, back and forth. By that point, I think everybody kind of knew what to expect, but there was still hope that the offense would come alive. And Florida's pitching just, I think, proved to be better than we even could have thought.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to be that good. And that's
for that long.
Happens.
For that many games in a row, just back to back to back. All right, we're going to trot out. They actually pitched 3 guys on Monday. How dare they? But
and the guys that
crazy.
The guys they threw on Monday were guys you had already seen.
Yeah.
Slater, the guy that you gave him his first loss of the season, came out and started for them and went 5 full innings on only 56 pitches. You know why? Because you had no approach on Monday.
No,
you looked defeated coming into the game. I don't understand like the mentality of this team. I don't know I don't know. I don't know. Pitching wise, you started Jacob Rogers. Watching him pitch, he looked a lot better than his line is going to sound. Like, I promise you, like watching him pitch, Jacob Rogers will probably be one of your weekend starters next year. And he will be like a really good one. He went 3 innings on Monday, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Josh Sanders came in. Like the guys that you threw on Monday, I have no problem with them. Like Rogers would have been like a head scratcher, maybe, except you were on your 4th game of the weekend when you have 1 starter.
Mm-hmm.
But then you went to Sanders, who had already thrown really well this weekend. Beckel this was his 3rd appearance in 4 games. And he looked good until this day, until Monday. But like I said, it was his 3rd game in 4 days. Ryan Free came in, and then Ethan Coombs got the final out. There were just lots of times when you were on the field defensively, it just felt like it was teetering on just like an absolute collapse. And it happened when Beckel was on the mound in the 6th, the 5th. Beckel had probably his worst inning ever. One full inning, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them were earned, 2 strikeouts. Florida scores 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th. And even that kind of felt gracious. It felt like you were like it could have been a whole lot worse. Yeah, because Beckel came in for Sanders. You were down 3-0. Florida starts off the inning, reaches on an error. Then that guy steals second. You get their home run hitter, Caglianone, to strike out. Rivera singles, scores a guy from second. Ryopel homers. Then you get a strikeout, a single, another single. Guys on, you got first and third, and then you get a ground out there to end the inning. But like 3 innings in a row where Florida was able to get guys on him and move them around. It just felt like every inning defensively for you were just like, how is this going to get worse? And not like you were committing a lot of errors or whatever, like you were, but the Florida offense never disappeared this weekend. When you played them, I mean, they scored 4, 7, and 6 runs. You scored 5 runs. That was your high water mark for the weekend against Florida, but that was on 3 of those runs came on 2 Gavin Cash home runs. Without Cash, I mean, 2, 5, you scored 6 runs on the weekend without Gavin Cash hitting home runs. It's not a lot for 4 games.
Well, and he was 0 in the first and last game of the weekend, I think, just in general.
Let's see. Cash in the Monday game. Where is he? Yep. He was 0 for 4 on Monday.
Yeah, and 0 for 5 on Friday.
So.
Not to name names. Sorry.
No, I'm not saying this was on Cash. This is on
absolutely not
on the offense.
Yes.
I think pitching wise, like giving up 7 runs on Sunday, like you feel like that would kind of be stretching what like you would expect your offense to be able to cover. You would have put a lot more pressure on them had you scored more than 1 run. And then you were blanked on Monday. You looked like absolutely lost. You were swinging and getting just absolute weak contact on a pitcher you'd already seen. You'd already seen his stuff. And he went only an inning the first time you saw him. But then he goes, he's able to stretch it to 5 full innings. So I want to talk about how the year-end stats shaped up. And I don't know what your notions are for this season, if it were like how it compares to the previous few seasons. I'll share those with you. I am not counting 2020 at all. That was just because of the shortened season and just it didn't make sense to include it. But I went back 5 years to 2018. So this year, obviously, you finished the year 41-23 offensively. It was your best year. Sorry, in terms of batting average, it was your best year since 2018. Your team batting average of 303 was the highest since 2018, which was 309. Your on-base percentage, highest in 5 years since 2018. It was 410 this year. It was 418 in 2018. Slugging percentage was the highest of all of these years. You scored the most runs since 2018. You hit the most home runs out of any of the years. And then stolen bases, I think we understand we're a little bit lower. But considering what we talked about with Texas Tech not stealing a bunch of bases because they hit for power this year, I will point to 2018 and say, actually, that was a crock of shit. Because 2018, you hit for better average. You had a better on-base percentage. Your slugging percentage was 0.003 of a percent lower. It was 503 in 2018, 506 this year. You attempted 100 stolen bases in 2018. 164 more stolen base attempts than you did this year. You were 77 of 100 in 2018, 28 of 36. Last year, it's a huge improvement offensively. You were 290 last year to 303. You had on base of 400. Slugging percentage went from 486 to 506. Runs was a little bit better. You went from 506 to 519. You hit 10 more home runs this year than you did last year. You attempted about the same number of stolen bases. You were 34 of 39 last year. So for whatever reason, you're just not attempting stolen bases. That's not a part of your game plan, because 2018 you had 100 attempts, 2019 you had 83, 2021 you had 57, 22 you had 39, this year you had 36. constant trend downward in number of attempts. And it doesn't really correlate with your on-base percentage. Sorry, your slugging percentage. This year it did look like there was a correlation between your on-base. Sorry, I keep saying that, between your slugging percentage and your stolen base attempts. And I found some anecdotal evidence to support that when I said, hey, look, LSU hits for a lot of power too, and they don't steal a lot of bases. But you've got teams within the past 5 years that are within, a few points slugging percentage wise, and you attempted 64 fewer stolen bases. You had better average, better power, like more runs. You had 10 fewer home runs 2018 to 2023. But you scored more runs in 2018 than you did this year. Probably could have made that up in and winning a regional and playing for a super regional, because that 2018 team played in Omaha. So you scored more runs per game in 2023 than you did in 2018. Defensively, pitching, not surprising here. It's the worst year you've had in a long time. Your ERA was the highest of these 5 years. Only a couple hundredths of a point higher than last year, 499 to 497. Your whip was higher at 150 this year. You gave up 381 runs. You walked a ton of batters, 302 batters. You struck out 589, and then you gave up a metric ton of home runs. 72 home runs this year. And opponents batted 253 against your team. These are team pitching numbers. 253 opponent batting average. Like I said, last year you had 497 ERA, but your whip was a little bit lower, 141. Only gave up 324 runs, 234 walks to 302 this year, 608 strikeouts last year, 61 home runs given up, but the opponent batting average was 254, so a thousandth of a point higher. 2021, your ERA was 430. 2019 was 401. 2018, I was just talking about how good offensively, defensively, pretty similar to this year. 448 ERA, 1.52 whip. This year was a 1.50. You gave up 330 runs that year, so 50 fewer runs in 2018. You had 35 more walks in 2018. Did your pitching staff give up? You had 24 fewer strikeouts in 2018 than you did this year. You gave up 39 home runs 2018 to the 72 you gave up this year. Opponent batting average was 246.
Yeah, that stat it's kind of like the stolen bases. It's trending in the wrong direction. Maybe not the wrong direction for stolen bases. That's kind of a matter of preference or strategy, but home runs, you definitely don't want to go from 39 in 2018, 35, 48, 61, 72 this year. It's you put this together in the on paper, which is always the caveat of everything. As good as that 2018 team was, this 2023 team was very close.
Mm-hmm.
The pitching, I guess, would be the biggest disparity, but the hitting was very, very similar. More home runs even, but just the pitching, I would say it almost evens out. Yeah, the 4.48 ERA is not great, but they also had 35 more walks in 2018. And this is with a handful of more games. What is it? Not really 65. No, just one more game. So I came in here thinking I'm really not disappointed in how the regional went. I was kind of bullish and thinking that, well, if they win Friday, they're going to win Saturday. It happened, but I think that was just blind luck on my part. I didn't have any insider wisdom there. But you see these numbers and you think, dang, maybe they just got in the wrong regional. Maybe that's all it was. They just got in the wrong regional. They could have gotten out of a different one. Florida was just too good, too deep of a bullpen, and just this offense that has been so productive all year and has been it is your most productive offense since 2018. Couldn't scratch a run on the board if their life depended on it on Sunday or Monday. Just bad timing, maybe, or just a really good pitching staff.
It's probably both. And I hesitate to keep going back to this, well, especially as an umpire myself, but the umpires you saw, the home plate umpires you saw, they had some questionable strike zones in Gainesville.
Yeah, I was listening to the last game, so I didn't get to see it, but I saw a lot of comments going, "Yeah, this guy's ready to go home." So I'm assuming there's some truth there because I saw it from a lot of people.
And at that point, you just kind of have to adjust. Like you know, I hear so many times like you need to adjust the umpire. Like you need to adjust to the umpire. If you're calling a bigger zone, then you as a batter need to be a little more aggressive. If he's calling a tighter zone, then you're okay. You know, trying to sit back and make sure that the pitcher is perfect. They were calling absolutely massive strike zones in Gainesville, and our batters sat there and watched a lot of called strikes. Right or wrong, like you as a player can't change what the umpire is doing. You can change what you're doing to the umpire. Saying that, we know that Eric Gutierrez was ejected. What was that game? Was that the Saturday game? And he missed Sunday and was back on Monday. So it was Saturday. Back-to-back at-bats for Kevin Bazell ended up on strikeouts, on full counts, where the ball was off the plate. On opposite ends, too. Like one was well outside, one was way inside. And I had screenshots and I posted it on Twitter, and it's like you can tell why there was frustration. The first time it happened, he was visibly frustrated. This is a guy that's been ejected before for arguing balls and strikes with the umpire. Mm-hmm. So when it happened the second time, Gutierrez came down. You could tell from his non-reaction to him being ejected, he said something knowing he was going to be ejected, or that at least that was very possible, because there was no reaction from Gutierrez when he was ejected. And I think it's because he was expecting it. And I think it was because also he went in there, like he didn't break up Bazell and the home plate umpire, but he was standing up for him. I think he was seeing where it was going and probably thought, okay, let's have them eject me instead of you. Yeah, like
y'all can do without me, but we really need you, Kevin.
He sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, like you can have the team rally behind, like, okay, he got an ejection for us, or he said something that I was going to say, and I just felt like I couldn't say it, and he went ahead and said it. Kind of funny that Tadlock put Molina out there at first base. He had pitched the day before, so he was obviously not available. And you're out of coaches. And I don't think you could have put another coach out there in place of an ejected coach. So like maybe you had to go to a player. I mean, Gardner or J Bob, I guess, could have stood out there. Unless J Bob's on third. I can't remember with how Tadlock had flipped around who was coaching third. But I don't actually know the rules for NCAA baseball. Like if a coach is ejected, if you can replace him with another coach on the field, or if it has to be a player. Either way, it was Molina. And then on Sunday, it was Tracer Lopez, which was, again, kind of funny to see. But Gutierrez faced his little 1-game suspension, was back there for Monday. And then you did see Tadlock when the game was kind of out of hand there at the end. He was putting in guys that hadn't played a lot, especially recently. Drew Woodcock's got a pinch hit. Ty Coleman got a pinch hit. And Coleman worked a walk on a time when the home plate umpire could have just had a huge zone and struck him out, because there were some close pitches or pitches that I was expecting to be to not be called balls with the way that the game was going and how the zone had been that week, the rest of the weekend. But 2024 baseball, Michael, I think could have a lot of promise. I think one is going to depend on how the draft ends up this summer, how your roster is managed. If you get guys back that have contributed that will continue to develop, or if you churn the roster a little bit and you're out recruiting some of the positions that you had hoped, guys that didn't get to play much or at all back from injury. Don't know what the season would have looked like with those two infielders you lost before the season to season-ending injuries, and one was a career-ending injury. You'll get Travis Sanders. You'll get Travis Sanders back from injury. Guys like Trenton Parrish, who couldn't pitch the past 2 weekends of the season, he'll be back. Jacob Rogers, I think, could be a real big piece for your weekend rotation. I think he could be a really good weekend starter for you. I have to go back and check eligibility. I think Molina should be back. Petty and Erdman should be back as starting pitchers. Then I have to go back and look at, like I said, eligibility for guys in the bullpen. You wish that you could find another year for Nolan Hester, just the way that the impact he had on this team. But that's exactly the kind of influence and impact you had hoped when you recruited him as a fifth-year senior. He stepped in day one and did everything right and was just a blast to be around. But then you got guys like Gage Harrelson, and Gavin Cash, Will Burns, Tracer Lopez, Hudson White, Dylan Maxey. All those guys could be just a huge piece. Kevin Bazell, I don't know why I forgot him, to the core of a really good 2024 baseball team. And I don't want to trivialize, or I don't want to reduce the impact that the seniors had. When you look at guys like Ty Coleman and Dylan Carter and Vuletic, especially later on the season, because Vuletic was really hot there late. But that list of seniors that you're saying goodbye to, you look at their time and innings played late in the season, you're like, well, they weren't top contributors. So in terms of seniors lost, as much as they were part of the team, you're not feeling like you're creating a huge hole with their absence. And then, like I said, going back to the eligibility, guys that are draft eligible that may get picked up and then may leave to chase professional ball, guys that may leave to look for playing opportunities elsewhere. So we'll see how the summer shakes down the roster, but 2024, as of June 6, 2023, could be a pretty good baseball team.
Yeah, this is the result of having that young team that I kind of realized we had halfway through the season and thought, okay, there's good and bad with this. But I think we're kind of on that. We've reached the good part now. The season's over. Everyone can take a breath. I would be surprised if a lot of these guys end up on draft boards because of their age. I mean, they are really young, and some of them unfortunately kind of fell off towards the end of the year. That probably hurt whatever stock they had. So, but they're still good players, and it's just a matter of being able to retain these guys, have them come back. We're kind of in hopefully the upward trend of this. And, this team that a lot of people seem down on still won 41 freaking games, still went to a regional, went toe to toe with the number 2 team in the country. and just came up short in their house. I think it's really a testament to what this team can do. And I get people being disappointed, but I don't fully understand it. I didn't think it was. I think making the tournament at all by the end of the year was a huge show of resilience of that team to put up a good showing on those first two games in the Big 12 tournament. But I just kind of thought Tech was playing with house money at that point to be able to get to a regional at all, and then to go 2-0 and kind of get our hopes up again. So I rambled a little bit, but this young team, it's good for. It's maybe not good for our blood pressure, but it's good for us as fans to see this team grow right before our eyes and hopefully line up to really do something special next year.
Yeah. So speaking of the young team, I want to read off the guys that are on the roster. So realize there are guys that are injured, like Travis Sanders, that aren't listed on the roster because they were removed from the roster because they weren't going to be able to play this year to make room for other guys. Guys that are on the roster that are not draft eligible. So guys that should be back unless they transfer. Gage Harrelson, Tracer Lopez, Jarek Curtis, Cade McGarr, Will Burns, Dylan Maxey, Tabor Fast, Damian Bravo, Zane Petty, Jacob Rogers, Zach Erdman, Nolan Foster, I don't think we saw him, Jack Livingstone, Kevin Bazell, Hudson White, Gavin Cash, Mason Molina, Owen Washburn, Trenton Parrish, Ryan Brome, Kyle Robinson, Brendan Lysick. Guys that are draft eligible, Brennan Girton, Dylan Carter, Andrew Devine, Austin Green. These will be redshirt sophomores and juniors, so they're not out of eligibility just yet, but guys that are draft eligible. Dax Dathy, Jace Lopez, Brandon Beckel. I would not expect him to come back. Derek Bridges, Ryan Free, Drew Woodcox, and Josh Sanders. I don't know if I'd expect Josh Sanders back either. And then your seniors, Zach Vuletich, Ty Coleman, Bo Blessey, Garrett Crowley, Nolan Hester, Ethan Coombs.
Solid. I'd take it.
So Washburn, I believe his brother is still around, or may still have eligibility. One that transferred in from Ole Miss and was injured before the season started. Obviously, we talked about Travis Sanders, the second baseman. And I'm blanking on his name because we just never saw him. Never heard from him with a career-ending injury. But that's a great group of guys to build around. You've got a team there. You've got outfielders, infielders, pitching staff. I would love to see guys playing in more of their natural positions. I'd want to see if Kevin Bazell could slide back behind the plate and get back to catching. I don't know if that means you need to move Hudson White into an infielder spot. I know Travis Sanders was supposed to be taking down an infield spot. Gage Harrelson, I would suppose, would take over center field full time if Dylan Carter's not here. Jarek Curtis, I think, would take down a corner spot. You've got guys that played some or played a lot. They can just find a spot for. Cade McGarr. Will Burns played a lot of shortstop, obviously, this weekend. Tabor Fast is still listed as a two-way player. Damian Bravo is listed as a two-way player. Owen Washburn is listed as a two-way player, but I don't think I've ever seen him pitch for Texas Tech. So Ryan Brome could step into more of a full-time role, and then you'll have all the new guys, transfers in, and the high school class. So
you think some of them are going to miss their prom?
I think some of them did miss their prom, Michael.
Well, what about next year? What about guys that aren't even here yet that are going to miss their prom next year?
It's possible. I think that you saw that you had two guys do it this year, that you may be a little more willing to take that route. But if it happens, I'm sure that we'll talk about it every time they come up to bat.
Please.
This guy should still be in high school. Should be getting ready for his prom.
Yeah, just everything. Man, this guy should be on spring break. This guy should be in off-season basketball or whatever.
getting ready for graduation. Newsflash: most of the baseball players miss their high school graduations anyways, because if they're any good, they're still playing when their high school graduates. So
This guy should be on his Washington, D.C. field trip. He sold a bunch of candy bars.
he should be with his orchestra or with the band going to Florida.
He should be tuning his flugelhorn right now. That is
And yet
not a
here he is.
euphemism.
Playing in the Big 12 tournament, hitting
Yes, but here he is
340.
under the major league lights. He should be high jumping right now in Hamlin, Texas. But no. He's playing in the Shriner Classic as the Red Raiders get swept again.
Oh gosh, don't put that on us, Michael.
Sorry. It's just not our thing. I don't know what it is. We don't like to play in baseball in February. It's just
If you're going to play baseball in February, you might as well play it indoors, right?
yeah. It's just, you know what? That's fine. That's just a write-off for us. Not a big deal.
All right. So disappointing end of the season. Kind of a frustrating season. Like it never felt like you got going. We talked about as we were getting through it, like your conference standings. You finished what, 6-2 in your conference series. You obviously lost the one to Texas. You lost to West Virginia.
Yeah, but ended up being
And then you lost to Kansas State. I think you lost the series to Kansas State. So you were 5-3. You're 5-3 in your conference series. But you're 500 in conference play. 6th in the conference this year. You played a lot of young guys. Your pitching rotation could never get that settled outside of Molina. You had guys flex up and down throughout the bullpen with mainstays of Beckel and Free and Sanders. Robinson went from starter to bullpen to starter. Some of that is on injury, but I don't know how much I'll believe Tim Tadlock when he comes in this spring and says, we've got 6 starters. Sure you do, pal. Sure you do.
Then let's roll.
Anyways, so yeah, that's a wrap on the 2023 baseball season. Unfortunate that you couldn't make it out of the regional. It was going to be tough anyways, but when you got to 2-0, felt like you had a great shot at it. But Florida, being the team that they are, had the arms, had the talent and depth that you couldn't overcome. So it happens. Baseball sucks that way sometimes. Texas Tech sports sucks that way sometimes. You get sucked in and you believe, and things happen in the opposite direction. So, are you at all interested in any super regionals and College World Series, Michael?
No, but I haven't pulled up. I could roll through who's playing where or who's playing who.
Okay, let's do that just real briefly before we wrap up with baseball.
Okay, number 1, Wake Forest is hosting Alabama. Let's see. Stanford is hosting Texas. Stanford's hosting, right?
Yes.
I assume so, because they're number 5, LSU hosting number 12, Kentucky. The interesting thing about the Texas regional, they eliminated Miami. So Texas went into Coral Gables and took out a top 10 team. Yay. Good for them. Tennessee is hosting Southern Miss.
They are at Southern Miss.
Oh, they're at Southern Miss. My bad.
Southern Miss is hosting.
How about that? Tennessee has to go to Southern Miss?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. TCU
snuck in to host a super.
Yeah, because of Indiana
because
State.
they destroyed Arkansas. I don't want to give the Frogs props, but I think Arkansas was the 3 seed. They made Arkansas their bitch.
Whoop
So
it,
good for
Shuey.
them.
And Sycamores, Indiana State. I saw that they were hosting a Special Olympics event this week, so they technically should have been given the chance to host the Super Regional, but had to duck out just to make sure that that event wasn't, uh, altered or affected in any way. So I saw, I forgot what Twitter group it was, but one of the TCU podcasts was encouraging people to donate to the Special Olympics, to kind of thank Indiana State and kind of back them up for not being able to host the regional, the Super, even though they should have, or they were actually eligible. Let's see. Okay, Oral Bob versus Oregon, so a lot of O's.
So Oral Roberts making out of the Stillwater regional. Stillwater, Oklahoma State,
Oof.
embarrassed at their own regional.
By
They
Dallas
got bounced.
Baptist too, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. And
Didn't
Oral
Dallas
Roberts.
Baptist just curb stomp them.
Yeah. Oregon takes down Vanderbilt.
Yep.
To host a Super. Oregon, I know a lot of people hate Oregon and their uniforms. One of the games I watched, they were wearing all gray, but they had their highlighter yellow numbers. It's it's pretty nice combination. If I'm going to follow anybody moving on, it's going to be Oregon.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see following Indiana State or something, or maybe Oral Roberts, but I don't really care. Virginia is taking on Duke. I'm assuming Virginia's hosting.
Yes, Virginia's hosting
still-
Duke. Duke with the fewest number of wins of any team in the Supers, 38.
And
Texas
then,
Tech
of
had.
course, go ahead.
Duke will need to get to Omaha and win a game in Omaha to pass the number of games that Texas Tech won this season. They will need to win their Super and then win a game in Omaha to get to 41 wins.
And then, of course, Florida, I guess, hosting South Carolina. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Tech's out, so I'm kind of out. I don't think I'm going to really be paying any attention to the Supers. I could get pulled back in when the World Series starts. But
Probably.
I'm probably gonna go on a sabbatical right now.
Yeah.
Don't really
Wake
wanna see a World
Forest is
War
interesting,
TCU and
but again,
it is. I mean, they're number one somehow.
probably just hang out until we get to the World Series and see what happens in Omaha.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Vegas. Not this weekend, but next weekend. So if you need me to put a legal sports wager down on someone to win the College World Series, I think I will take advantage of some futures. That's for sure. I'm going to see where I think most places have Tech, at 6.5 or 7.5 wins.
I think it's 7.5.
Football. Hammer the over.
Hammer the over.
Let's go, baby. We're going to win 7.5 home games. We don't even play that many, but that's just how many we're going to win.
We're gonna beat Oregon. We're gonna do it.
We're going to win.
All right, let's wrap this up. If we're
Okay,
going one
yeah.
sport in baseball, we've hit an hour. Let's wrap this up. Let's get to what do we learn, and then we'll get you into the off season, man. Maybe not.
Okay. Well, we could just keep going.
We're gonna keep going. Well, no, I mean we're gonna do it. I was expecting the sound to play, but Riverside was like, "Screw you guys, screw you guys." I'm going home. My baseball season is potentially over. I picked up a check. The tournament coordinator was like, "Hey, we got 2 more days. You should come pick up your check." I was like, "So I'm not going to be scheduled for any more games?" He didn't respond. I was like, I guess not. which is fine. It's fine. I had Monday and Thursday this week available, and I had committed to only being Monday and Thursday. I need to spend time with the family. And the game's Monday got rained out and pushed to today. I was like, I can't do it today. I got obligations. I got this fine production to put on. I need to do it by 9 p.m. Need to be able to do that, and I'm not home until after 10:30 on days that I'm out umpiring. So the other coordinator said that all select and all stars, all stars and maybe sectionals. I made a call for. Those are bigger umpire crews, 3-4 guys.
Okay.
So I may do that, but also we got lots of stuff going on around our house with our own family. So I've already done
just get back to that. Maybe hunker down.
Well, it's not even hunkering down. Like we just got summer things to do. Like we've been living up the summer life. We went to All Hail Meats today. The afternoon, I got to a spot in my work day where I'd wrapped up everything, and the boys were driving everybody crazy. Like, let's go buy some meat. And on the way out there, we went to Sonic and got snacks and treats for everybody. And it was like, we're just doing the summer thing. But yeah, I went to All Hail Meats. This is my first time went out there. The counter was fairly sparse, and he's like, that's typically how our cooler's gonna look. But he said, hey, if you've got a cut in mind, call me when you get in the car to come this way. We'll have it ready for you. And then a handful of other things he had in the freezer. I will tell you what I picked up, Michael. I picked up a package of jalapeno cheddar sausage. I picked up a package of jalapeno cheddar hamburger patties.
Ditto.
I picked up a package of dill beef jerky.
They were out when I went.
My oldest son came in with me, and he was just kind of checking things out and looking at it. And like, Dad, look at that, look at that, look at that. And he saw that. I was like, we should try. I was like, yes, we should. And then I had him cut me 2 boneless ribeyes at an inch and a quarter, inch and a half thick. They were monsters. I wanted bone in, and of course, by the time I got there, he's like, we already like we've got bone in ribeye, but the saw that I need to do things with the bone has been taken down for the day. So you can either come back or I can cut you boneless ribeye. I was like, I'll do boneless. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm here. Let's go for it.
But he was telling me, like, if you have a cut that has, not a specialty cut, but he's like, if you have a trim or whatever you're looking for that has bone in it, you need to be here before we take the saw apart. Best thing is to call us before you come out and ask us to cut it for you. We'll have it ready.
Yeah, that day he went back there and got the porterhouse for me. It was in the morning, and so they were probably
late afternoon for us.
Yeah, they were still getting rolling.
So, but he said, hey, if you want like big dino ribs, the big beef ribs, is like, let me know. We'll cut you a rack of those bad boys. Or if you want something else specialty, like you want a porterhouse. Yeah. He said those words specifically. I was like, my man came in here last week, got a porterhouse. They had some T-bones sitting out. I was like, I don't want a T-bone. Like if I'm going to do that, I want a porterhouse. Or I don't want a tomahawk ribeye. I just want bone in.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for the bone. Like the extra 12 inches of bone is not going to help change the flavor of the meat. I'm going to be cutting off the bone anyways.
It's all presentation. It's all for Salt Bae.
So I got a couple of steaks for the birthday celebration this weekend. Oh, it's my birthday coming up.
Of course it is.
Not telling you what day or how old I'm going to be, but
fair enough.
I don't care. I'll be 34. If that was a surprise, like with all the white in my beard, I saw my brother for the first time in a while. He's like, dude, like you've got more white hair in your beard than I do. I was like, that's been the case for a while, but yeah, thanks for pointing that out. It's been going white for a while.
Here's a fun thing that happened to me, or I guess it's fun that happened to my wife. So she was talking with our neighbor recently, and somehow age kind of got brought up, and she said something that made my wife ask her, "Hey, so, well, how old do you think I am?" and to my wife's credit, my neighbor thought my wife was quite a few years younger than she is. But then at the same note, she thought I was quite a bit older. So she
So
thought
she thought there was a big age gap
she
between the two
thought,
of you.
yeah, we were about 10 years apart when in reality we're less than 3. And I was like, yeah, that tracks. Because I remember, you know, it, when we were dating, Allison would joke about it being carded at the movie theater and stuff still. And this was, you know, uh, she was mid-20s when we were dating. And I think I was with her one time when it happened. I was like, oh my God, this really happens. And the whole time I like immediately felt self-conscious because I've always, not always, but, you know, especially once I lost my hair, I definitely look older than I think I mean, I think I look older than I am. I'm probably, it's probably about to, you know, break even though. But anyway, that was just a fun experience for her to realize that our neighbor thought I was older than I was, and they thought she was younger than she was, and that our age difference was much broader.
Yeah. Samantha and I are like 9 months apart.
Ah, see, there you go.
So we're at the same age now until my birthday. And then I'll be a year older until her birthday in February. But yeah. Anyway, so I got some steaks. And I got some stuff to try out on the grill. And the dill
The
pickle.
Blackstone?
Maybe. Well,
The
well
burgers?
for sure the burgers.
Yeah.
I may smoke the sausages and I may finish the steak on the Blackstone. So I
Yes.
do sous vide those bad boys. And
That's
then I'll need
probably the
to,
way to do it.
and then I may crisp them up on the Blackstone, or I may just put them in a. I don't like finishing them in the cast iron in the house.
It's so
It gets to
smoky.
be too smoky that way.
Yeah.
So
Blackstone seems
anyways.
like a good way to, it seems like a pretty fuel efficient way to do it too. As opposed to firing up a charcoal grill to do it, or
Yeah, because then
even
like
a
you use
regular
it for
propane grill, it probably would use more propane.
well, I don't know about that, but anyways, so that was my trip out to All Hell Meats. I'm looking forward to trying that.
Yeah, I've got those same burgers. I've got those same sausages. I'm looking forward to that too. We had the summer sausage, which was great. I think it's gone now. We snacked on that a lot this weekend. I had the peppered beef jerky, but tell me about the dill. I don't
Oh
think
right,
you
I didn't
tell
tell you
me.
about that. Definitely taste dill pickle. It
Yeah,
was a strange combination. It's not off-putting. It's not like
it's exactly
never
what it sounded like.
I'll never do that again. Like I may not buy it again, but I will eat this package
Oh
and
yeah.
like feel fine about it.
Well, I had just another successful run with pre-marinated fajita meat, and this
Did you
was
get it
even
from
chicken breast.
you get it from United?
I'm not sure. My wife came home with it. I don't even know where it came from. And I was like, "Hey, what's something I could grill this weekend?" She's like, "Well, I've got that fajita meat." I was like, "Done. There we go."
Yep.
Because I'm just trying to do it at least once now that the weather's nice and everything. And
Well,
I
you
threw
say
a.
that like we're in like a monsoon season.
Oh,
Did you know
that's
that
true.
Lubbock had a monsoon season? Because I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk about that
We're
in
in
a
the middle
second.
of it, but I had that on. I forgot what day. It doesn't matter. And I cooked it on just the Weber kettle, and of course did indirect, set the chicken off to the side, but then I put one chunk of oak on there, like one small chunk of oak, smaller than my fist, because I didn't want to over smoke it. But I think I nailed it, man. I have to give myself some credit because it
There you
was
go.
just like a perfectly smoked set of chicken fajitas that we ate on. And my wife had the great idea. One of the chicken breasts, I didn't slice it up for fajitas and left it whole, and I made a really good chicken sandwich for dinner the next night. Just killed it. A little Munster
Killed it.
cheese,
Mm.
some of that Sweet Baby Ray's chicken sauce, which is kind of a copy of Chick-fil-A sauce, or pretty close. It's tasty. Toast. You got to go toast. And then my mother-in-law threw a party this Saturday night. Just had us over and a bunch of her friends and a bunch of people we hadn't met, and they hadn't met us, so it was good to get to know some people. But what she did was get Evie Mays from United, and she got like the big foil plate of it.
Mhm.
I mean, I think there were 2 half chickens in there, maybe more. There
So a
was
full chicken.
Yeah, a full chicken. But I'm not sure if it was the same chicken, so I didn't want to, I didn't want to misspeak
Sure.
there. Very important. Pulled pork, brisket, sausage, turkey. I think 2 whole racks of ribs because she loves ribs. That's like one of her favorite things. Like you had to dig around under the ribs to find everything else. It was killer, man, and it was from the United branch of Evie
So on
Mays.
114th and Slide.
Yes. So she, because it's really close to her house, so she just went out there and told them what she needed, and they just loaded her up, fixed her up, and it was just as good as further west. Which
Goodness, I am sorry
Evie
about the
Mays
yawning.
is
dude.
just Evie Mays is just south of Hale Meats.
Yeah, I trying to find All Hail Meats. I actually went to eat Evie Mays first because I remember them being that there was a meat shop over there that was attached to Evie Mays. So I was like, I pulled into the parking lot of Evie Mays.
Oh
It was
yeah, I think they
empty,
kind of quit doing that. Yeah.
because they were sold out by that point in the day. But anyways, I'm looking for. We have a one those cuts of meat, possibly as soon as this weekend. Well, one, the steak will be gone this weekend. Burgers and sausages, I may do that as well this weekend. We're co-hosting with our neighbors.
Oh, that's right.
We're doing some things, and I may throw a couple of these special ones on and just hold them off to the side. So like,
Yeah.
I'm cooking. I can do whatever I think I want.
Yeah, these are for daddy.
These are my my neighbor. But yeah, looking forward to trying that, man. So that'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. We will hit you with all the exciting and fun off-season content. We'll hit you with some time off, some breaks, because we need some time off. But baseball season's done. Frustrating end, as it always is. If you're not winning the championship, it's never a fun way to end a season. Got some pieces to look forward to for 2020 and beyond with this team, and just hope and count on the pieces to be able to continue to develop and to get better. So look forward to that. But for now, we're looking at the track team to finish out their season, and then all eyes on football, making the trip up to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and football season started. So, Michael, you got anything else?
That's it. That's it for me.
All right.
You've been great, everybody.
Looked like you were going to say something. If you haven't yet, go vote for us in the Pod Poll Logo Tournament. 23 Personnel versus Cast. That'll do it for us this week. For Michael, Sir, looking